hope you're all safe and well. Very nice to be back in the studio. A little bit weird, it's a bit empty, but feels more like we're getting back to normal. And of course, we've got some beautiful flowers. So, Doorstep Flower School, week 1. Give us your feedback for sure. Give us your ideas, what you'd like to do. Stephen and I are here. We're going to come every second week to bring you more designs, more arrangements, and brighten your lives. Thank you.
Hello everybody, welcome along. It's so nice to be able to share seasonal flowers with you all again. Me and Christine have selected some really beautiful summer flowers for you all to have a play around with in your own homes. We're going to do a hand-tied bouquet today, and I'm going to arrange it into a simple glass vase. I'm going to start with telling you what you've got in your buckets, so you know your flower varieties. So first of all, we have these gorgeous pinky antirrhinums with this orange sort of flash in them. Then we've got this frothy pale pink astilbe, which is probably my favourite summer flower. I just love that kind of candy floss texture of it. These stunning spray roses. This variety is called Candelicious, and it's got a gorgeous sort of lemony, apricotty centre and goes out to a stronger pink around the edge. Then we have this daisy, which is a great filler flower. Some people call it matricaria, some people call it tanacetum. It's actually part of the chamomile family. It's a really lovely, wild-looking garden flower. And to finish off, we have these gorgeous coral peonies, which, although they look quite tight at the moment, in a day or two, especially with the sun shining, they can open out really stunning and really fill up that vase with big flower heads. And as a foliage, we've got everybody's favourite, the Cineraria eucalyptus. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to condition your flowers. I'm going to start off with our antirrhinums. Now you want to strip all foliage off of the stem that's going to sit below the binding point, which is where we tie the bouquet. And especially if it's going into a glass vase, you want to make sure that there's no foliage whatsoever that goes into the water in your vase, because that helps to breed bacteria, and it of course will shorten then the lifespan of your flowers. So I'm just stripping those leaves off. Like so. I'm so used to conditioning that I end up sort of stripping it off really quickly, but you might want to pick the leaves off individually, which is a little bit sort of easier to do, and also it stops your fingers and your thumbs from going bright green from all of that foliage. But of course today we're wearing our gloves in the interests of health and safety. So take that foliage off. So there's the antirrhinums done. The peonies have got some really great strong foliage, so although you want to strip those bottom leaves off that are going to be below where you tie your flowers, you don't want to strip too many off, because that big strong leaf is really going to help support all the other flowers in your arrangement and help to fill out and give a nice big round hand-tied bouquet. So I'm just going to take those bottom ones off. As I say, I'm going to leave those top ones on. So 1, 2, 3. Now, as with all flower arrangements that we do here, as a general rule, we tend to work in odd numbers. So everything you've got here is in 3s, 5s, 7s. It always looks so much nicer than 2s and 4s. Astilbe hasn't got much to condition at all, but you want to take all of the leaf off of the astilbe. It's a very delicate flower, and the foliage does tend to take up a lot of the water when it's in your vase. So I always take all the leaves off, so it's a nice clean stem. Now the roses are a bit of a toad because they've got lots of thorns on them. A couple of different ways to condition them. This is the way I prefer, is to take everything off individually. So I'd strip the leaves off, and then it's a bit time consuming, but I tend to pick those thorns off. There's something quite satisfying about picking them all off. You can do, of course, if you have a sharp pair of scissors, you can take the blade from your scissors and, holding your flower stem onto the table, just take that blade down and strip the thorns off that way. Just be careful not to tear too much of the flesh of the flowers. Also, because they're multiple stems, you might get like this one where unfortunately we've had a little snap stem, so I'm just going to snip that off there, just to tidy up those flowers, and carry on doing the roses. And then finally, I'm just going to quickly show you how to condition your daisy. Again, like I said with the peonies, You don't want to take too much off because some of that sort of lower flowering, it's really going to help bulk out that arrangement, so don't take too much off. I'm just going to strip those bottom bits away. And then lastly, we've got the foliage. So the eucalyptus, I mean, stems like this are absolutely perfect. I'm going to take that lower one off. I think it's a bit too low, but I'm going to keep all of that on. And as we build up our hand tie, that's really going to help to fill out the arrangement and bring it out the shape of it. So I find the best thing to do is to get all your flowers ready before you start making your arrangement. So I'm going to get everything prepped and have it all lined up on my bench, ready to go, so we can go straight into our arrangement without too much stopping and starting in between. So we've got all our flowers and our foliage all conditioned, ready to go. And the last thing we need is just a piece of binding wire, which I believe you've already all got cut in your kit, and we're going to use that to tie a bouquet with. So I'm going to get a piece of that ready to go. So I can move that out of the way. So normally when I start a hand tie, I always start with a nice strong piece of foliage. That's going to support my stems as we begin to spiral. So I'm going to pick out a piece of eucalyptus, and that's going to be my starting point for my bouquet. So I'm going to add in my stems one at a time, and the idea is to spiral your stems. I often say it's quite like, you know, when you put your spaghetti into the saucepan and all those stems spiral around as they fall into the pan. That's how you want your stems to look, so they're going to spiral all around in the same direction. So whichever way you go, whatever way you feel comfortable holding your flowers, your left hand, your right hand, just keep passing everything in the same direction as you go along, and then you're going to get that neat spiral of stems. So the first thing I'm going to go in with is one of my antirrhinums. So I'm going to start, I hold my flowers in my left and then pass from my right to my left. I go behind my foliage, like so, and then I'll turn my stem slightly to make sure as we build up, we're going to get an even distribution of flowers as we go around. Now what you might notice when your flowers arrive is these antirrhinums are slightly hooked over. Now they've just arrived fresh this morning, so they've not had much time to drink. So within a few hours of having a good drink in a glass vase and a nice clean cut stem, they'll pick up overnight, if not by this afternoon. So just bear that in mind when you're opening your flowers. So I'm then going to go in with some filler flower. So I'm going to use that lovely daisy, and again passing behind, like so, and turning. And you can build in those bits of foliage as you go around, behind, and turn. And I find it easiest to put one of everything in and then kind of start all over again. So rather than putting all your peonies in, all your antirrhinums in, if you go one by one, alternating, you're going to have a nice even distribution of flowers as you go around. I'm going to go over with the astilbe. Now with the pointy stems, the antirrhinum and the astilbe, I'm going to lift them a little bit higher, so they're going to stand proud of the arrangement when they go into the vase, just to add a bit more interest and depth. I'm going to then go in with my spray rose. And as I said, don't forget to keep turning those stems as you go around. So we've got one of everything in now. I'm going to go back in with my antirrhinum now. So I want that one's here, so really I want that over this side. So going across behind like so. Turn again. Maybe a bit more of my daisy. In there, just to balance out. You can see as you look down your arrangement, make sure you've got a nice even distribution of things as you go around. Going with that spray rose there. And looking down, I can see I need a peony on this side, so I'm going to add that peony in. I think I might add a bit more of my eucalyptus in, like so, and then add my peony. I think another bit more will still be there. And then we're ready to go for our final round of our third flower of every variety. So really what you're looking for is those 3 points in your arrangement. It's almost like you're making little triangles in. So you can see 1 and 2 here. I think my third antirrhinum probably needs to go somewhere in there. So you've got that nice even distribution. And I can see already just looking down those spray roses. I think, well, I need another one there to balance out that third I'm going to put that in there. Again, making sure you pass behind in the same direction. So now we're going to go on to the peony. So I've got 1, 2, I think that third one needs to go in there. So I'm going to add that in about there. Pull that spray rose up a little bit. And if you hold the arrangement loose enough in your hands, not too loose, obviously you don't want to drop it, but you can sort of pull those stems and move them around a little bit, up and down. What else have we got? That last bit of daisy, I think that probably needs to go around this side, so I'm going to turn that around, all the way around to the back, and pass that daisy in like so. Then just one last piece of the steel bead. I think that probably needs to go in there. And I've saved up just the last couple of pieces of eucalyptus just to add in at the end. Put one in there, bring that around, and I'll put that last piece in, like so. Then you can hold that arrangement down, and as I say, if you loosen that arrangement a little bit in your hands, you can sort of pull up those taller, longer stems and have a little play around with them to make sure every flower is nice and prominent in your arrangement. And those peonies really are going to pop open in a day or two and look absolutely stunning. So there we are, there's your hand tie all done. Then we're ready to cut our stems and to tie them. I find it easier to cut my stems before I tie. Everyone's different how they choose to do it, but I find sometimes if you tie the bouquet first and then cut your stems, quite often cutting them can encourage the stems to all move around a little bit, and then you kind of lose the security of your tie. So I'm going to cut mine first. So you want to take your vase and roughly work out the flowers you want them to sit about. So I'm going to line up that stem and cut it about there, so it's going to sit nicely in the vase. Now please be cautious when you're cutting your stems. Remember, you can always cut a little bit extra off, but you can't add a bit back on again. So if you're unsure, just cut it off a little bit at a time till it's at a length that you feel comfortable with. You can take a little bit more off there, I think. And as I said at the beginning, remember to cut all those stems on an angle to maximise their chances of being able to drink as much fresh water as possible. Now I find doing a hand tie bouquet in a vase, the best thing about that is when it comes to change the water, and really you want to be changing your water every couple of days, it's just easier. If it's all tied together, you can just lift the whole arrangement out, you can take that vase to the sink, clean it out, give it a fresh bit of water in there, then it's easy to plonk straight back in again. So we're all cut, ready to tie now. So I'm going to take my piece of binding wire, and I run it, excuse me, I'm going to use my teeth now, but I run it over where my hand goes around the bouquet. So just like so, and then I catch it under my thumb to hold it securely. So you're running over where you're holding it, and you've got that one end secured by your thumb, and then this longer piece I'm just going to wrap round a couple of times, and because it's a wire, it's going to grip on straight away. You haven't got to worry too much about putting it too tightly, but make sure it's secure, and then just twist the ends of that binding wire, or you can knot it if you'd rather, so it feels nice and tight, and then you can just snip that excess off, and I'm just going to tuck those ends back in to the wire, and then we're ready to put into our vase. It should plonk straight in. Now already I can see I probably need to take a little bit more off of that. So I might lift it back out again, which I said I wouldn't do, and just snip a little bit extra off, because I really want those flowers to sit on that lip of the vase. So I'm just going to take an extra little bit off. Like so. Then we're ready to plonk back in that vase again. And there we are, all done. So I'm just going to give that a little tease out there to fill that vase. And there we are, your complete vase arrangement. Now, if you are working at home, you might want to film yourself or take a few photos. Please do share with us on social media. Remember to tag Create98 into all your photos, and please remember to use the hashtag Doorstep Flower School. Thank you ever so much.